Final Destination Bloodlines has conclusively proven a popular fan theory about the franchise to be incorrect. The series kicked off in 2000 with Final Destination, which followed Alex Browning, Devon Sawa, having a premonition of him and his classmates dying in a plane crash. Thanks to his panic, several of his classmates and one of his teachers survive the calamity, but death itself hunts down the survivors one by one and kills them in a variety of creative and gory ways as revenge for defying its design. The following 5 installments, including 2025's Bloodlines, generally follow this same rough structure. Because so many of the characters in the franchise die before the ends of their respective movies, there are very few returning faces in any subsequent installments. In fact, other than original survivor Clear Rivers, Ali Lata, who returned in the sequel only to die, the only character who has appeared in multiple Final Destination movies is Tony Todd's eerily knowledgeable mortician William Bloodworth, who usually returns to offer advice to Death's newest collection of victims. Perhaps because he has appeared in 4 of the 6 installments in the franchise, he is at the center of a major fan theory. A popular Final Destination theory suggested Bloodworth was Death. The character's allegiance was unclear. Almost from the beginning, there has been a fan theory that Bloodworth himself is Death in the Final Destination franchise. There are several clues that support this theory, both inside and outside the franchise's universe. On a meta level, it would make sense for Bloodworth to be the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the franchise, because he is one of the only recurring characters. Todd himself has also appeared in an additional movie, voicing the statue outside the Devil's Flight roller coaster in Final Destination 3, which gave him an even more omnipotent presence in the series. In the Final Destination universe, the biggest clue supporting the theory is Bloodworth's unnatural understanding of how death works, which extends far beyond the realm of his work as a mortician. Nobody else in the universe has knowledge that comes remotely close to his comprehensive grasp of the subject. Additionally, given his eeriness, intensity, and respect for death, it has long been unclear if his allegiance is with the victims that he is advising or with death itself. This seemed to imply that Bloodworth was death itself, or at least a disciple or emissary of the entity in some way. Final Destination Bloodlines gives Bloodworth an official backstory. The 2025 movie explains his knowledge of death. While Final Destination Bloodlines added a new wrinkle by having death track down the descendants of victims it had not been able to kill in time, the new movie also unexpectedly came full circle by providing William Bloodworth's backstory. Both elements of the movie came from the same place, which is the Skyview incident depicted in the elaborate and gory opening sequence. That scene was set in 1968 and followed young Iris, Breck Basinger, foreseeing chaos in a Space Needle-esque tower, including a glass dance floor shattering, an explosion burning people alive, and huge sections of the building crumbling away. During this sequence, Iris is shown attempting to rescue the young son, Jaden O'Neill, of a singer, Natasha Burnett, who is performing at the restaurant. While she is unable to do so and the pair eventually fall to their deaths, she later manages to save him, along with everybody else in the restaurant, by preventing the incident from occurring in the first place. Later on in the movie, when her descendants come to Bloodworth looking for answers, he reveals that he was the little boy that Iris saved and that he has helped her with her research of Death's design. Final Destination Bloodlines confirms Bloodworth isn't Death. The character himself is about to die. A wide shot of Tony Todd as William Bloodworth sitting in the morgue in Final Destination Bloodlines. William Bloodworth's backstory in the new movie confirms that he is not actually Death in the franchise. His connection to Final Destination Bloodline Skyview incident explains why he is so intimately familiar with Death's machinations, and more so than any other doctor, mortician, or law enforcement official who appears in the franchise. He simply has a close relationship with Death rather than actually being an avatar for the entity, having seen its influence over events since he was young and having studied it for nearly as long. He has also witnessed the results of multiple other premonitions throughout his career. Final Destination Bloodlines further cements the fact that Bloodworth is not Death by confirming that the mortician himself is on Death's list and that he has a terminal illness. During his final on-screen moments in the franchise, which will also be the final moments for Tony Todd himself, as the actor died of stomach cancer in 2024, he revealed that he was the final Skyview survivor on Death's list and that he intended to embrace however much life he had left. Considering the fact that Death managed to kill off all of Iris' descendants by the end of the movie, this implies that Bloodworth will probably have died by the time that Final Destination 7 begins, should the sequel be greenlit. Final Destination debunking the Bloodworth is Death theory was for the best. The franchise works better with an unknowable antagonist. A close-up of Tony Todd as William Bloodworth from Final Destination Bloodlines. While Final Destination Bloodlines additions to the canon more or less completely shut down the theory that William Bloodworth is Death, this was the right move for the franchise to make for several reasons. One important reason is that this prevents the franchise from personifying its villain. Keeping the methods and motivations of death unknowable helps make the entity's encroachment upon the lives of its victims feel inevitable, which is an important factor that has helped propel the horror of every installment in the franchise. It also prevents the victims from being able to converse, and potentially negotiate, with death. Additionally, Final Destination Bloodlines' confirmation that the fan theory is untrue prevents the franchise from becoming too directly associated with Todd, who will be unable to appear in any further installments. It also prevents installments like the Final Destination and Final Destination 3 from canonically suffering in any way from the fact that Bloodworth does not appear during the story. Keeping William Bloodworth as more of a Renfield figure also allows the franchise to move forward and introduce other characters who perform a similar function down the road.